Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso involved in an interesting exchange. The best and worst of WWE SmackDown. The WWE is making a big mistake with Alexa Bliss. A former WWE champion announces a shocking release. An ex-WWE star released from jail. Disappointment with Penta's Royal Rumble debut. Why Becky Lynch's return has been delayed. Drew McIntyre takes a shot at LA Knight. Let's dive right in. The best and worst of WWE SmackDown. The first SmackDown after the Royal Rumble Premium Live event answered a few lingering questions from the weekend. Multiple rumblings claimed Cody Rhodes was injured, even though he stood tall after beating Kevin Owens. The champ main-evented SmackDown by teaming with Jey Uso against Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. They weren't the only enemies Rhodes had to worry about, however, as a former enemy returned. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair made their first appearances on SmackDown in years. The Street Profits explained they attacked both DIY and Motor City Machine Guns because the guns gave DIY their title shot. They forgot they've had numerous title shots over the last 2 years. Here's the best and worst of WWE SmackDown after the Royal Rumble. Number 1. Best. A real-life issue addressed on SmackDown. AJ Styles moved to Raw as the transfer window ended before the show. Drew McIntyre mentioned he joined SmackDown after emerging from the ashes of the Royal Rumble. He mocked Raw, Adam Pearce, and the people who stopped him from trying to tell the truth. Jimmy Uso came out and again forgot history, saying that Drew simply lost his championship match at Clash at the Castle. Jimmy must have missed his brother, Solo Sikoa, who interfered to help Roman keep the title during the finish. LA Knight came out last ahead of the Elimination Chamber qualifier. He subtly addressed the rumors of mishaps during Drew's elimination from the Rumble. He also said, while it was okay for grown men and boys to cry, Drew's crying was too much. The match let everyone shine, but the Scottish Warrior qualified for the Chamber match. Number 2. Worst. Carmelo Hayes gets a win over Akira Tozawa. Carmelo Hayes is a former NXT champion and a first-round draft pick. Part of his booking is to show him that despite first-round status, it doesn't mean you automatically have success. After great matches with Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes during his first year on the main roster, Hayes continues to lose and lose. He lost to Braun Strowman and Damian Priest. He picked up a victory over Akira Tozawa, stemming from his attack on him during his Royal Rumble entrance. The former NXT champ won, but a victory over the Japanese star does little to help Hayes move up the ladder. Number 3. Best and worst. Pretty Deadly wins by cheating. One ongoing layer in the tag team title scene is how DIY mistreats Pretty Deadly, despite the Englishmen helping DIY retain the titles. That came back to bite the tag champs as Nick Aldis granted his countrymen a chance at a title shot after Kit Wilson and Elton Prince said the alliance was over. The match showcased a lot of usual chicanery from both teams. Pretty Deadly won after holding the ropes during the pin attempt. It's great for Wilson and Prince to get one over on Ciampa and Gargano. However, it sends the wrong message that it's okay for faces to cheat. This happened when Rhodes beat Kevin Owens at Saturday night's main event after dropping him on a chair after hitting the crossroads. Rules should apply to both sides. Number 4. Best. Shreds of truth in heel promos. Kevin Owens' actions may not be completely justified, but his reasoning makes some sense when given the time to explain himself. Cody Rhodes stood tall after beating the prizefighter at the Royal Rumble. Sami Zayn came out during the match. He didn't do anything until after Rhodes dumped Owens through a ladder head first. Owens explained Zayn's lack of action during that moment, while also helping Roman Reigns during the Rumble, was his reason for attacking his lifelong friend. It makes some sense. Why would he not help his best friend at a moment that could have legitimately ended his career and helped Reigns? The Miz also had a sensible moment by saying he'd have Cody's back since they're both old school. Rhodes rejected the offer, but Miz reminded Cody that last year's march to WrestleMania was all about his story. This year, it's about Jay's story. He also knows what having the title does to people and their friends. Number 5. Worst. Bianca Belair defeats Piper Niven. The two competitors received totally different treatment before their Elimination Chamber qualifying match. Fans saw Belair and Naomi backstage heading to the ring. Once SmackDown returned from commercial, Niven was already in the ring without receiving an entrance of her own. Belair then came out and the match started. The pairing didn't inspire much faith unless something big happened. Niven has lost nearly all her matches on SmackDown and is primarily used to make the faces like the EST look good. The match was fine and both women had some good moves, but the outcome was never in doubt. Number 6. Best and worst. The orbit around Tiffany Stratton. WWE promoted Charlotte Flair would be on SmackDown to talk to Tiffany Stratton about WrestleMania. Flair did the flip-flopping she did on Raw to start the promo, but really laid into her heel side by mocking the WWE Women's Champion. Stratton defended herself by saying the world didn't stop while Flair was out. She's right to a degree since she became overwhelmingly popular over the past year. The Queen demanded that Stratton get on her knees and beg her to choose her for WrestleMania. Nia Jax then came out to posture for yet another title shot. Jax is almost Flair's opposite. She always comes out to demand a title shot, but loses. Flair does the same, but is always booked to win. It led to Jax getting another shot at a title on next week's SmackDown. Number 7. Best. Welcome back, Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss was also out for more than a year, but was given less fanfare during the Royal Rumble. The live crowd gave her arguably the loudest reception, but she didn't get fireworks like Flair or Roman Reigns. She also competed in her first match in nearly 2 years, beating Candice LeRae to qualify for the Women's Elimination Chamber. The former multi-time champ continued her tribute to Bray Wyatt, even hitting her version of his DDT finisher. Fans may have missed it, but a few glitches came across the screen during the match. It certainly telegraphed crossing paths with the Wyatt Six. The faction hasn't been on screen since their move to the blue brand for weeks, but an angle with Bliss could be magic if done right. Number 8. Worst. No Shinsuke Nakamura again. If you didn't know, Shinsuke Nakamura is the current United States champion. After beating LA Knight at Survivor Series in November, the King of Strong Style has been booked like creative has nothing for him. That's unacceptable for one of the brand's champions. The women's tag team titles champions have been all over programming for the last 6 months. They've been on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Braun Breaker even called out Adam Pearce for the same treatment on Raw as Intercontinental Champ. Why can't Nakamura get at least half of that treatment, instead of random spurts of stalking around backstage for 7 seconds? Number 9. Best and worst. Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga lose twice on SmackDown. Rhodes and Jey Uso kicked off SmackDown to address the possibility of facing each other at WrestleMania 41. No decision was made, but a match with Fatu and Tonga was after they interrupted. Rhodes and Jey stood tall to end the segment. As is the case when Rhodes is involved in a match, he and Jey picked up the win over the Samoan Werewolf and Tonga. The loss is just another in a recent string of losses for the talented Fatu. He hasn't been pinned but lost by disqualification or when Tonga ate the pin. The match was a setup for Solo Sikoa's return. He hit Cody with a Samoan spike after the win. Where does everyone go after this? The WWE is making a big mistake with Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss made her big return at the Royal Rumble. The former Raw Women's Champion received a massive pop from the Indianapolis crowd. However, Bliss failed to win the career-altering match. During a recent episode of Brodown on Backstage Pass, Vince Russo criticized WWE's booking of Alexa Bliss. The industry veteran specifically brought up Alexa's match from SmackDown, noting the company should have booked a sit-down interview segment with Little Miss Bliss instead of putting her in a match. She's wearing a jacket that says Fiend with friend in it. Why not start there? A sit-down interview with Alexa Bliss about the last 2 years and about the death of Bray Wyatt and the impact. Why not start there? See, that's where tears mean something. Because if they start talking about what he meant to her, she's going to break. Why not start there? Alexa didn't appear on WWE television for 2 years before the Royal Rumble. She was moved to SmackDown in the aftermath of the PLE. The goddess beat Candice LeRae to qualify for the Elimination Chamber this week on the blue brand. Fans will have to wait to see how Bliss fares in the match. A former WWE champion announces a shocking release. Heading into the spring season in the United States, WWE has released several of its talents. The company's chief content officer, Triple H, noted not long ago that athletes get released all the time as it is strictly part of business. The latest to be released is former women's tag team champion Isla Dawn. The Scottish wrestler held the title with Alba Fyre mere months ago when they dethroned Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill in their home country before dropping them back to the duo in Berlin. Dawn was a promising talent on the roster, working in the tag team division. Isla Dawn confirmed her WWE release on Instagram, stating that she was here for a good time and not a long time. The 31-year-old former champion also noted that she has a 90-day non-compete clause. Here for a good time, not a long time. See you in 90, Isla Dawn wrote. Several surprising names were released this time around. Some were heavily featured on WWE television. The AOP and Paul Ellering were part of Karrion Kross's stable, The Final Testament. They picked up a feud-ending victory over the Wyatt Six late last year before disappearing. Sonya Deville competed at the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble just last Saturday, but was also let go. An ex-WWE star released from jail. Former WWE star Buff Bagwell, who wrestled one televised match in the Stamford-based promotion in July 2001, has been released from jail. The WCW veteran spent 3 days there as part of his accountability program dating back to his arrest in 2020. A few years ago, Marcus Alexander Bagwell, popularly known as Buff Bagwell, had a series of run-ins with the law. He received a DUI and was arrested more than once. The 55-year-old also suffered from substance issues in the past, but got got sober in 2022. Last month, on his Marcus Buff Bagwell YouTube channel, the WCW veteran revealed he'd be going to prison for 3 days and would attend WWE Royal Rumble 2025 after his release. In his latest video, Bagwell detailed his time in jail and thanked fans for their continued support and understanding while he was away. "We started with the 3 days. I was in jail. I had to check myself on Monday at 6 o'clock, and then I got out on Thursday at 6 o'clock. So, thank you guys so much. I mean, the last time I got in trouble with a sanction and the DUI, I got in a lot of trouble. I just want to thank you guys for believing in me and understanding the situation that I'm in. I'm just very thankful to you guys standing behind me with this. It means a lot to me," Bagwell said. Former WCW World Tag Team Champion Buff Bagwell regularly talks about the ongoing events in the wrestling industry, especially WWE, on his YouTube channel. Last month, he spoke about Monday Night Raw's debut episode on Netflix. Bagwell spoke about The Rock putting the Ula Fala around Roman Reigns' neck, following the undisputed Tribal Chief's win over Solo Sikoa in Tribal Combat. The veteran wanted to see the final boss turn on his cousin. "Last night, there was not a question in my mind that it was going to be a boom on Roman Reigns when he came out with the beads Ula Fala. He went back up for the second finger in the air and I went, 'Here it comes,' and it never did," Bagwell said. Disappointment with Penta's Royal Rumble debut. Penta became one of WWE's hottest new acquisitions as he debuted on the January 13th episode of Raw, defeating Chad Gable in his first match. Veteran wrestling journalist Bill Apter recently spoke about the masked luchador's performance in the men's Royal Rumble match. The star entered the match at number 2, kicking off a thrilling exchange with Rey Mysterio to start the Rumble. Penta spent 42 minutes in the over-the-top rope battle royal and eliminated Finn Balor during that time. On a recent episode of Sportslita Wrestling's Smack Talk, Bill pointed out that the star's debut in the men's Royal Rumble match was slightly underwhelming. He noted that WWE was promoting him as the greatest masked luchador, second only to Rey Mysterio, but he spent a lot of time in the match on the floor, just during his whole time in the ring. For a guy that they're building as the greatest, he didn't perform. You know, he was down a lot. This week on Raw, Penta defeated Ludwig Kaiser in a singles match. However, he did not get a chance to celebrate as a distraction from Pete Dunne allowed Kaiser to unleash a vicious post-match beatdown. After a decent showing at the event, it will be interesting to see what lies ahead for the star in the months building up to WrestleMania. Why Becky Lynch's return has been delayed. Becky Lynch has been away from WWE programming since May 2024. While many expected the man to return at Royal Rumble, that was not the case. Wrestling veteran Bill Apter discussed the reason behind the same during Sportskeeda's latest edition of the Wrestling Time Machine. Becky Lynch last appeared in May 2024 when she faced Liv Morgan in a steel cage match. After the bout, the man decided to take time off, and her contract with the company also ended. However, some time ago, it was reported that Lynch had signed a new contract with WWE, and her return was imminent. However, Becky was not seen at the Royal Rumble, where many notable names made their return. Bill Apter noted that she's currently busy with outside the squared circle ventures, and thus may not be seen for some time. She's doing something showbiz-wise for the next few weeks or months. I saw it somewhere, I don't remember where I saw it, but she's allegedly doing something in the entertainment field. Becky Lynch is one of WWE's most decorated female stars. Before her hiatus, she was embroiled in a feud with Liv Morgan, and upon her return, she could pursue Liv. Drew McIntyre takes a shot at LA Knight. WWE superstar Drew McIntyre secured a huge win in the latest episode of SmackDown. After the show, the former world champion fired a shot at LA Knight on social media amid the reported backstage heat between them. The Scottish Warrior's elimination from the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match did not go as planned. During the spot, Knight accidentally bumped Damian Priest, causing a botch. Reports indicated that the 39-year-old star stormed out of the arena in anger following the incident. The megastar allegedly took responsibility for the mishap. Last night, Nick Aldis officially signed McIntyre to the Blue brand. He then faced Knight and Jimmy Uso in a triple threat match for a spot in the men's Elimination Chamber match. The Scottish psychopath emerged victorious, joining John Cena and CM Punk in next month's elimination-based match. Following SmackDown, LA Knight insulted the former WWE champion on X, formerly Twitter. However, Drew McIntyre had a fitting response for the 42-year-old star. He posted an image that appears to depict the Scottish Warrior taunting the megastar, showcasing his dominance after securing a spot in the men's Elimination Chamber. LA Knight, por favor, he wrote. The Scottish psychopath is a little closer to punching his ticket to WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. Aside from Cena, Punk, and McIntyre, 3 more contenders are yet to be decided for the men's Elimination Chamber match. On the Royal Rumble review and breakdown episode for Sportskeeda Wrestling's YouTube channel, Vince Russo Uso questioned the former World Heavyweight Champion's current relevance in WWE. The veteran acknowledged McIntyre's strong in-ring performances, but criticized the lack of creative support for his character. "I don't know how Drew McIntyre has any juice at all, thank God. If Drew was not a great performer, he would have been future endeavored already. The only thing that keeps him relevant is his performance. They've done nothing for this guy creatively. Zero, bro, nothing," Russo said. Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso involved in an interesting exchange. WWE has shared unseen footage of Jimmy Uso acknowledging Roman Reigns during the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match. Jimmy entered the match at number 10 and Reigns at number 16. Jimmy and Reigns reunited at the Bad Blood 2024 Premium Live event when the multi-time tag team champion helped his OG Bloodline stablemate during a tag team match. Jimmy and Reigns proceeded to team up with the rest of the OG Bloodline and CM Punk in the men's War Games match at Survivor Series 2024. On Instagram, WWE shared the footage of Jimmy acknowledging Reigns mid-match as he entered alongside Paul Heyman. Though Jimmy was struggling to stand, he made sure to pay his respect to the OTC. Jey Uso won the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match and will headline WrestleMania 41. His brother and long-term tag team partner Jimmy Uso has also been focusing on his singles career on SmackDown. According to their father, Rikishi, Jimmy should stick to competing as a singles wrestler. Speaking on the Off the Top podcast, he said, "I would like to see Jimmy get his singles run. We're so used to seeing the boys in a tag team competition, and they conquered that. So it's exciting to see both of them, Jey doing his thing," Rikishi continued. "And I would really like to see Jimmy do his thing. It depends on what his plan is. Right now, we're all just excited for the one guy right now, and that's Jey." Jimmy was in action against Drew McIntyre and LA Knight on this week's WWE SmackDown. Unfortunately for the OG Bloodline member, he failed to qualify for the men's Elimination Chamber match as McIntyre emerged victorious.